Well, look, I'm really excited to welcome up Caleb Lockwood for our next session. And Caleb is a musician, and Caleb is. I'm just going to read from his bio. I create music from my bedroom. I started in April 2020 with no prior experience because I felt a calling from God to make and release music that is centered around Him across multiple genres. Hello, Caleb. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing good, thanks. Hope you're doing good as well.
Really, really well, thank you, Caleb. Grateful to you for sharing your title, the talk title, being a Christian artist. I'm really excited to hear from you because there will be just convinced over the last couple of years, people have been re-evaluating priorities and maybe just uncovering a fresh passion or a fresh vision that God may have shared with them. And I know you've been on a bit of a journey over a number of years, pre-pandemic as well, but just thinking about what we might be able to learn from you and just getting some insights from you about your life and as a Christian artist would be invaluable. So I'm going to hand over to you. The floor is yours.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to come talk here as well. So yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're all having a good day and getting a lot from this conference. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself because most people probably don't know who I am yet. And then talk about my experience and some helpful tips that I picked up along the way. So yeah, first off, I started producing music in the first lockdown around like April time. So I spent like the first month of lockdown, I was just binge watching Netflix the whole time, like I'm pretty sure everyone else was. But then I kind of got bored and I was like, I want to do something more productive with my time. And I've always been really interested in music, and I felt this real calling from God to really give that a go and to start pursuing that a little bit more. And I'd say like I create a range of genres within music, from worship to lo-fi to R&B, because I don't want to try and don't want to define my music by a certain genre just yet. I'm not at that level just yet. But yeah, I started in the first lockdown as just something I was wanting to do. And from the very first experience of opening up a digital audio workstation, or DAW as they're called, I knew it was exactly what God wanted me to keep pursuing and developing, um, like developing my skill and my understanding. Because I opened it up and it was very overwhelming at first. I used Ableton Live and it was very confusing with how everything was laid on the right side instead of the left side, and I was just very confused with all these different words, from reverb to even dynamics, which I know is quite bad, EQ, and all these kind of different words. But it was still something that I knew that even though I know nothing about this, I really want to pursue this as much as I can. And because I didn't know too much about it, I didn't really want to release anything for a while. And I want it to be at a specific standard, and I want it to be good enough for me to release it. But it was actually in that moment that God kind of called me out to say, what are you trying to focus on here? Why does it need to be a certain standard before you release it? And I realized that because I didn't want to release anything and I was wanting to hold it to a certain standard, I was putting my own judgment over what God had wanted for me to do. And then I was holding back what God wanted me to do in my own life. And at that point, I made a decision to keep God fully in the center of all my projects and how I release music going forward, and more specifically, the timings of each release. So I didn't want to decide when a music project would release. God would do that. And this, I felt, would keep God fully at the center, because I'm not defining when a song is ready, but God is instead. Because as a Christian artist, we want to make music that connects with people and they can experience the Spirit through our worship. And, only God can really do that. We can help be a vessel for that, but it's God who will actually carry that forward. So yeah, I just wanted God to be at the center of all of my releases. And in doing so, I experienced a lot more freedom within my music, which has actually allowed me to be a lot more authentic within everything I create. I wasn't forcing out certain lyrics or genres or melodies, which I knew has already been successful within music. I was just creating what I felt God was talking to me about to create. And I found this to be extremely helpful with all different kinds of projects, which I won't talk about each project individually because that would go on way too long. There's quite a lot out there. But fast forwarding to today, there's been crazy results that I couldn't have even imagined, as I'm literally just from starting in my bedroom with no prior experience to lockdown. My music has been listened to over 50,000 times on Spotify alone, which is something that I know only God could have caused, because I literally don't know anything enough about making music or marketing. Like, I know a little bit about marketing, but not enough for what has been achieved by God so far. But yeah, that's enough about me and my journey in music so far. I'm sure there can be potential to talk about it a little bit more if there's any questions at the end. But I wanted to talk about some tips and tricks mainly that I've found that could help you if you wanted to start pursuing music or anything creative, really. And first off, I wanted to say that it's important to keep creating. That's the most important thing. Whether it's just making beats, songwriting, or whatever creative media that you use, just keep on doing it. If you can spend 30 minutes a day as a minimum trying to think of lyrics or work on a song, you will see a lot of benefits, because not everyone will create like hit songs or their masterpiece straight away. It takes a lot of time to develop it and keep working at it. And if you set time aside to keep creating, then obviously you're eventually just going to keep getting better and better and better the more and more you do it. Second, if you can find artists that you want to sound like, create a playlist and listen to them on repeat over and over and over again. And don't just listen to listen to a nice song, but try and pick out bits that they have done within each song that resonate specifically with you. Figure out what you enjoy about the song, what you would like to incorporate into your own works. And doing this will allow you to realize what kind of music you want to create in the future. Not even if it's something that you may not know how to create, if you just know what you want, it can be a big help, because if you at least know what you want, you can work towards trying to figure out how to do it, whether it be searching online or just in the digital audio workspace and just working over and over again, trying to perfect that sound. And that can be extremely helpful when creating a song or an album or any project. Third, joining a community is really useful. When you're surrounded by like-minded individuals, it can be a great asset to you and your journey. There's always people out there who you can learn from, collaborate with in the future. Many of my songs have come from a collaboration which had actually started on a platform such as Clubhouse when it was a thing, or Discord. And Facebook is also really helpful for finding other artists, because networking is crucial for small artists. There isn't really another way to get your name out there without spending insane amount of money just with all the promotion. But being a part of community also opens the door for potential feedback and constructive criticism, which is crucial to any working of a song and improvement. Because when you get a fresh set of ears listening to a song, it can really change how the song sounds without even changing the song. And what I mean by that is when we create music, often we focus entirely on how the song is made, and then we just run with that and keep going forward until we think it's finished. And we're not stopping to kind of take a second to listen to the song. At least that is what I do quite a lot. But it's really important to kind of stop and to listen to exactly how the song sounds, because we may think it sounds incredible, but when you listen to it again, it's like, oh no, this is actually horrible. I don't like this at all. There's this bit wrong, and you don't understand that unless you take a couple days away from it or share it around with people that you trust to give good feedback and criticism. So yeah, it's important to just share it around with people that you trust to get that feedback, which can be useful from like a community within Discord and Facebook, etc. There's also this technique which I found to be very useful within songwriting. I'll try and slow down how much I talk because I talk very quick. Called morning pages. Basically, what you do is at the start of your day, you listen to some worship music, put on some instrumental music in the background, and you write whatever comes to your mind. And it doesn't need to be specifically lyrical in nature. It can literally just be anything that comes in your mind. You just write it down. It's like, oh, I want to eat a curry today. That can be it. And then that can start off. And it's like you can talk about what you like about curry, what the flavors, specific kind of rice, what naan bread you want, and go across any different thing. And kind of then hopefully go into more detail of like, why do you like it? What memories do you get from this? What emotions does it inspire from that? And the more you do it, obviously, the better you'll get at it. But what this technique does is it helps you to become more authentic and vulnerable in your writing, because successful music is always successful because it's relatable. You know, the audience understands what the songwriter is trying to say, and they keep listening because they strongly relate to it and they want to understand more about it, and they it can help them with their own path in life. It's like, oh, this person's gone through this is how they've dealt with it, because that's what some songs can be all about. So relating to an audience within your songwriting is incredibly important, and a technique like this will help you to refine that ability to create more relatable lyrics. Because what I love about this technique is when you're writing your experiences down, or your thoughts, your feelings, you don't write them to be a song. You write them literally just how you would say them and how you would think them, which makes it you, because it's literally just how you're saying it, and then that's how you're writing it. And this is so important because God doesn't want us just to fit a particular mold of how a song is written. There doesn't need to be a certain structure to it, because God wants us all to sing a new song, a song that we would sing, a song like how we would sing it. And this technique has definitely helped me unlock it, and I'm very sure it'll do the same for you. So yeah, I definitely encouraged doing that. If you could do like at the start of your day, it doesn't have to be for a crazy amount of time. It could just be 5 minutes if you want, or it can be 30 minutes, as much time as you want to give into it. My next tip is, if you get into a creative rut, do something to break up your routine and inspire the creativity. When we're in a creative rut, it's often we feel like we're just doing the same thing over and over again, and then you're kind of stuck in that situation. You may think, I can never make a song ever again. So it's important to break out of that routine. Whether this is going on a walk in a new area, going shopping, going to a new shopping center, or even cooking with a new recipe. There are many ways to get thinking and connect certain dots again. It's really about finding out what suits you best. But anything to break out of your standard routine will help you to just kind of have sparks again of like, oh, this could happen, because you're not stuck in that standard routine. You're going out and doing new things. And yeah, so my next tip is, being an indie artist is often a multi-hat, so to speak, role, where you will do many different jobs within that. So it's really useful to understand the multiple avenues of how your career can grow outside of music, whether that be the cover art, the aesthetics of your social media, whether it's a certain color palette, marketing techniques, Spotify editorial playlist pitching, and other playlist curators, trying to network with them. Being able to do many things is always going to be really helpful, as you are the best person to explain what you do. So if you can understand a little bit more about different techniques that you can do, different social media platforms, not just sticking to Instagram, Facebook is useful. Obviously, exploring TikTok is useful. However, I've found on TikTok that there are millions of artists that will just do the exact same thing of, let me just post a cover or post an up and coming new song saying, oh, pre-save my new song, which rarely gets traction unless you're a big artist. The most successful, I'd say, TikToks that go online are ones that capture the trends that are going on, and often that don't have anything to do with music do best. If they're just completely random and funny, just draws people to your page, and then from that you can start to explore music. But drawing people in is the most important task in TikTok, because it can go viral, it can just do nothing at all. And yeah, with this in mind of the whole understanding different hats and different avenues, it's very important to, once you start releasing music, to understand your Spotify for Artists webpage. Now, all of the streaming services offer this platform where they have a for artists section. Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, they all have this. And basically it's there for you to understand your audience a lot better. So you know where people are listening to your songs, you know, all these certain statistics. And you can also see who's adding your songs to a playlist, how many times they're listening to it from that playlist. And Spotify actually allows you to open up the playlist that your songs have been added to, which you can then engage with the people who have made the playlists, which has been, I found, quite useful to obviously engaging your audience. Because you can then just directly say thank you to them just for adding your song. Because it can be literally anyone. It doesn't, the Spotify algorithm works in a way that it could go to literally anyone in the world, and you have no idea how to connect to that person. But if you can try and reach out, at least via those following their Spotify playlist and then looking at their username stuff from there, just saying thank you can go a long way just to their appreciation of you as an artist. They might want to keep your song in their playlist a little bit longer, because on Spotify you never really see an artist saying thank you directly to you for adding to a playlist. So doing something like that can go quite a long way. And yeah, engaging with your audience is incredibly important, which I'm sure it's something that has been brought up many times throughout the conference, and it still remains the exact same within the music industry, as it's your audience that directly correlates to your growth, and word of mouth can be amazing for that development. If you know you're engaging with your audience, they feel more inspired to be like, oh, I want to share a new release when it comes out. And that's, people sharing online is how you really start to build traction with your Spotify page, because Spotify, as it's an algorithm based, you need to build traction with pre-saving and people sharing your music, adding it to playlists, for it then to spark and go to even further. I was able to do this with one of my songs, How Precious, where we got a bunch of pre-saves and a bunch of people sharing it, and then eventually it got added to a Spotify editorial playlist, which is, these are the playlists that could really like spark a song's growth, which is how the song went from like 5,000 streams to like 20,000 streams very quickly because of that. And yeah, so Spotify editorial playlists are the gold mine for music artists in the Spotify industry. And they can all be kind of triggered by a large amount of people just sharing it and pre-saving it. And when I say large amount, it doesn't have to be like thousands. It can be, you know, from 50 to 100, within that range. Just sharing it and like listening to your song quite a few times and adding it to playlists. And yes, my final tip that I've got written down on my notes is because it is a lot of work to create and release music, you need to be able to enjoy the entire process. So don't focus too much on goals and aspirations. It's very important to have goals, but try not to focus on them too much, because they can lead to a lot of demotivation in the present if you haven't reached them already, even though you haven't even come across a certain time period for your goal. Like at the moment, one of my goals is to reach 100,000 streams in 2022 for this year. And I could easily become very demotivated because I'm seeing nowhere near that numbers at the moment. But if I do that, then I'm never going to reach those goals because I'm just focused on the goal. I'm not actually focused on how to get to the goal. So it's important to focus on what you can do today and then how it will affect tomorrow. So going back to the previous tips, to keep on creating every day, keep on writing down in morning pages just to inspire some creativity for lyrics. Because I want to go back to the morning pages actually, because you could write pages and pages of notes and then there could only be one line that you take out of that, but it is a line that is directly related to you more. And that you find a lot more joy in a line like that than just following like a certain script or mold that certain artists go down. And then when you've come up with a line like that, even if it's from pages and pages and pages, celebrate that little victory. Coming up with a new melody or finishing a chorus can be quite a hard thing to do. So celebrate those little victories to keep a positive attitude and mentality, because that can massively help in the long run when creating. If you're creating with a positive attitude, you're going to write more positive music. You're going to be able to do it a lot longer, and you're not going to burn yourself out more because you're enjoying it a lot more, because you don't get burnt out too much when you're enjoying it a lot, basically. Like people get burnt out when they start to get more demotivated and they've been doing it too much. So it's important to keep more of a positive attitude when creating and to celebrate those little victories when coming up with a new melody or finishing a bridge or whatever. But yeah, that is all the notes that I have today. Hope some of that was useful for you. And if there's any questions, I'll happily answer them.